Hey guys, Donut Look Me Up here, and this is going to be kind of a different video actually, for a lot of reasons. Nothing bad, actually. I haven't done one of these before, and I don't really have the best ways of editing and putting it all together, so it's gonna look a little choppy, but also total whole deal. Disclaimer, everything like that. There may be possible spoilers. So if you actually have not played Final Fantasy VII Remake, you should probably stop the video here, because I am going to probably be talking some details that will be spoilers for those who haven't beaten it yet or haven't played it yet. But if you have, then feel free to sit down, pull up a chair, have a cup of coffee, some tea, grab a snack, and enjoy this little video of my whole review of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Also, the music I'm going to have the music playing, so I don't own any of this. This is Square Enix. This is the composer Nobuo Uematsu. I hope I pronounced his name correctly, but it's his music. I don't care if this video is monetized or not. I don't want anything like that, but I just want to take in everything. The music. I first played it when I was younger, back on the PlayStation, the very first one, 3 discs, played through quite a few times, and then when they did some sort of remaster and it's on the PlayStation 4, you could download on the store. I've played through it countless times, different ways, different everything, to see, just I love the game. The story, the music, the gameplay for that time was very simple. It was very fun, turn-based, make your attacks, do your spells, summons, use items, just do everything. And then the cutscenes of then were just really mind-blowing. You're just like, whoa. And I love it. Final Fantasy VII was the first one I've ever played, and it's a huge fan base. And some people are like, no, 7 wasn't the best, and that's fine. Everyone has their favorite. Everyone has their preferences. And then there are those, like myself, who, it was the first one to play. It was the first one to appreciate for the gameplay and everything at that time, because the PlayStation was going into like the 3-dimensional with like 2D backgrounds and things like that, and they were slowly getting into the advanced times of what games are today, with the beautiful graphics and everything that they've done. So I was actually able to play it, and I kind of breezed through it. There were some side quests I didn't do, and I should have, because I come to realize something that they did in the remake is that the side quests actually do have an effect of the outcome later on. And it's just, they did so well. And the character progression of the beginning, you didn't really have that back then in the original with the characters Biggs, Wedge, or Jesse. But in this one, you actually get more with them, and it was really cool to see that, because they were actually trying to kind of reach out to Cloud, who was kind of just, a mercenary, who was just kind of cold, he was just there for the money to, make his living, and that'd be the end of it. He wasn't really caring too much of what Barrett wanted to do with Avalanche against Shinra, and Cloud, being ex-Shinra, kind of put it all together. And you actually feel a little bit more connected to them because you're working with them at the time. So you actually kind of see progression in how they interact with each other. And the personalities that they all had, you're just like, oh my god, these guys are great. Now, if you play the original, you kind of already know what goes on with them. But in the remake, they kind of changed it in a way and gave them more growth, gave them feeling. And then also some of them, it gave them like kind of a redemption, or it gave them justice. That they didn't just suffer, they were just there and then they suffered a horrible, they died or whatever. They actually, they've made changes that some of them actually do survive in a way, or they're left with, did they survive really, or, are they truly gone forever? One of them we knew was in fact gone, and it sucked because the personality was so great. Continuing with spoiler warnings and stuff like that, Jesse doesn't make it, and it just, you actually, Square Enix is really good at tugging at your heart and making you feel, and the way Jessie met her fate, you actually feel it more, and you're just like, oh, this hurts. Oh my god, this hurts. But it's Square Enix did a very good job with the story, and the people they got to be the characters to actually bring them more to life. Aerith, whole nother difference. In the original, she was just this naive girl, young girl that helped Cloud in the certain parts, and learns later, they go, yeah, she's an ancient. But in the remake, she actually she knows what she is, and she just takes it in a more mature way, and she's got more personality than what they were able to do at that time, because it was all text. You read what everyone said, and you kind of felt for it and stuff like that. But in remake, they were able to bring it more to life, so it actually hits you in a different way. And I'm still blown away by how amazing this game was. And the turn-based, yeah, a lot of us wanted it. Would have been nice to see exact thing, but it's a remake, as it's called. So they kind of remade part of the story. They remade the gameplay to do something modern and they gave homage to Crisis Core, so it feels like that, with a little bit of the Kingdom Hearts navigation through your spells and abilities and items and things like that, and some Final Fantasy 15. You're actually able to try to dodge some of the damage and things like that. You're able to maneuver from bigger attacks that in the original, if you got hit by it and you were not well equipped or leveled up enough, you were insta-dead. They added a couple more mini games. Some of them they added a little bit early on, which was really cool, and then you do it again. They really did well. And then the side quests were actually really fun. And it was just yeah, you're making a name for yourself of being a mercenary. So you have to help people, and then people talk about you, and then they start knowing you as you're the mercenary who's going to help them with their problems. It really hits the nostalgia really hard in a really good way. And the whole added part of the story of these whispers that Aerith has dealt with, that she encounters and that you guys encounter, of how they control the fate, and that you're actually trying to break away from that and create your own fate, write your own future. And then you go through the whole story after the pillar falls, the interactions between the Turks and Cloud, the president, the new president Rufus, later down the line. And then you have Wall Market. which they did so well to give you that real, like, this is the Vegas of the slums. But like going through the mini games there, and then the comedic relief that was throughout the story from the beginning up until like then and such, there's always some form of comedic relief. Like, people were like playing in, they're like, the victory music doesn't play after you fight a battle. First, you're doing the bombing mission right at the beginning, and you don't have it because, of course, the bombing mission music plays throughout the entire thing. But like, you go through the whole bombing mission, they didn't have the victory music then, it was after that. And then you're still sitting there like not hearing it, and you're like, where's the victory fanfare that Final Fantasy's always known for? And throughout the like random moments, if you have Barrett in your party, he sings it. And he's just like da, 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 da. And it's really, really funny. And you're like, there's the nostalgia. And then you're like, but Cloud always twirls his sword after a victory. And in that, he twirled the sword and put it away. And you're like, there it is. And it was just really cool, the whole how they had it all set up. And then the going into Corneo's mansion. And then of course you're like, where's the part where Cloud dresses up as a girl to infiltrate the mansion and stuff like that. And then you have to do a dancing mini game, which I thought was the funniest thing, and I couldn't stop laughing. I started messing up in the actual like timing of the mini game. You're supposed to hit certain buttons that they tell you at a certain point to continue dancing, and I was laughing so hard I kept missing. But then you have a lot of people's favorite. Like, there's the cross-dressing Cloud. Try to say that 10 times fast. But you have that where he dresses up as a girl and infiltrates. And it was really funny to go through that whole thing. And then you see Corneo and go through that whole deal. And then you get to the pillar, and that moment of grim, dark sadness. But you actually go back to Sector 7, where in the original, it was the plate crushed, that was it. Plate was done, you couldn't go back. So that was kind of cool, and then you got to see some people that survived, and you're like, oh wow, they didn't just kill everybody. And it leaves you with the questions of like, did Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse truly survive? So that was really cool. It gave, it's like, oh, some people, you're able to save some people. You're able to actually, like, do more. And then dealing with Sephiroth every time and Cloud having those visions was a real nice touch. It actually was like, oh, this is what Cloud was going through. Sevens, for some reason, just always hit so close to the soul. At least for me. I just appreciate their work in composing this music, because it just really added personality, it added feeling to the story. And that's the thing about games. If you have a good soundtrack to it, it actually brings out the story more. 7 nailed it on the button. That's why it was one of my favorites. The gameplay, the graphics, it felt like you were playing through a movie, an interactive movie. It was just so amazing. There are some things that were a bummer. Yeah, again, the turn-based. But they did a modern take on it, and they called it a remake for a reason. They, as I had said earlier, they kind of tweaked the story a bit. They tweak the fates of certain characters. They added a little bit more in the story that you don't have in the original. The gameplay was completely different, hence remade. And actually, I like what it did. I like how it works. There's just so much that they did to this remake. And then the other one that a lot of people were mad about is that it's separated into parts. Well, have you seen what they put in? If they were gonna do the entire game, we wouldn't see this thing for maybe 4 years. That's just being kind. Another one is, are we gonna have to buy each part again? It looks like it's going to be that way, but the question is, how much is it going to be? Is it going to be $60 every time? Because that would kind of be a bummer. So don't know what Square Enix is doing on that, but I personally found it pretty worth it because the battle music gets you really pumped and just hypes you so much. But those were the little bits that I wasn't. A lot of people aren't. They took away from the original. Okay, no turn-based battle. It's kind of turn-based when you go into like the little menu for using spells, summons, limit breaks, things like that you didn't hotkey for, speedy attacks, or just to kind of breeze through an enemy. So yeah, it's a bummer, but at the same time, it's just so cool to see like Cloud's true ability to fight, or Tifa's, Barrett just shoots a gun, but it's like you're actually having to go through realistic things. Like Barrett has to reload, or if he uses his he has a big charge shot where he just shoots off a big explosive shot, he has to charge it and get it to work. And then you actually see that Aerith uses magic for her attacks instead of just always bonking them with the staff, which, yeah, she can fight with a staff too. But they added more to it. So I'm not entirely mad. I like what they did. The changes are really, really cool. They're actually very simple, so they didn't make it some complicated thing. Yeah, they only released a little portion of it to the end of Midgar, when you're stepping away from Midgar and you're going on your journey to find Sephiroth. Okay, yeah, but again, the amount of hours that this game gives you, I found pretty worth it. Some things are still a bummer, yeah, but that's what they did, and they didn't have to give it to us so early. They could have just been like, yeah, you're gonna wait for the entirety of it, but they were like, here, we're gonna give you part 1, and then they're gonna have part 2, 3, 4. So it was a good job. Aerith's theme always hits you, especially when you know what happens later. It really, really tugs at the emotions. But to sum everything up, really, Square Enix did a very fantastic job to Final Fantasy VII. To all of their Final Fantasy games, they've always done a great job. I personally love what they did. They really did a fantastic job in the story, the music, the gameplay, the character development of those that you didn't really get much of. You actually get more of, Aerith's matureness in a way. She's actually a lot more mature than what the original had given her, as being like a naive little girl, like a naive younger girl that was hiding the fact that she was an ancient. Aerith was trying to not really give her full story in protection, because she just met Cloud, she met Tifa, she met Barrett, and all them. But in this one, when it gets revealed, they're actually like more like, we're gonna go help her. And then she comes out and she's like, yeah, this is why I can hear the planet. I can hear whispers. I can see different things and stuff like that. So that was really, really well done. And the people that did the voices really got it out there. They really got their personalities and brought them to life, and you just love them even more. There were a lot of times with Tifa, however, she's the badass fighter. There was a lot of times where she was always kind of like the damsel in distress, a little bit more than the original. But it kind of paid nod to Cloud and his promise. If she was ever in trouble, he'd be there. Because that's how she was in the beginning, but then Cloud wasn't there, so she became she would fight. So they could have probably given her a little bit more badass moments. Just a few more. But it's still amazing. People were upset about not being able to play as Red 13. That's fine. I'm not mad about it. He joined your party and he helped you in fights and made it a lot easier. He also healed you when you were doing the motorcycle mission of Escape from Midgar. That was cool, because trying to get through that and not take any damage or not die did get challenging sometimes. So I'm honestly grateful, and I am so happy that they did this, because I love Final Fantasy VII. I appreciate all of the Final Fantasy stories, because they're all different. The music in all of them, I love. And thinking about it, I always was like, it would be so cool to be a part of 7. It's like to be able to like voice one of their characters, or to have some contribution. Which is why I'm doing this video, to review my thoughts on it, to express my feelings towards it. And this is my way to kind of give back, to thank Square Enix for this, and to also be more part of the community, to talk about how amazing their work is. I also plan on doing more of Final Fantasy XIV online, because that is like one MMO that I could get behind all the time. So there may eventually in the future be some gameplay with some friends, or even just me going through by myself. Or I might even just stream it on Twitch, which my link, of course, is in the description below. Square Enix, great job. You've outdone yourselves with this remake, and I can't wait for you to release the rest. Game to kind of get through the quarantine and stuff like that. It's it helps, and I'm glad that I was able to kind of sit down and talk about how amazing this game is, and just kind of gush feelings all over it, and just give you my feedback, because I really, really love this game. So I want to thank you guys all so much for watching. I do want to apologize for spoilers, but again, I did have it in the beginning of there are some spoilers, so stop there, play it, come back later. But if you've already played through, then you guys get my full input of the game. And it's also really cool that you could go back in each chapter and pick up where you left off and kind of go through it again, actually completing your side quest, and because they have different outcomes for the dresses that all of the characters, like Cloud, Tifa, and Aerith, all get, depending on the quest you do. It changes everything. So that was really cool for that. Yeah, thank you guys again for watching. Thank you, Square Enix, again for giving us this beautifully done game. You've done so well. And stay tuned for further videos from me, further content. Still working very hard, doing my best to give you guys everything. So, I will see you guys next time. Enjoy yourselves. Stay safe. And I'll see you guys next time. Donut out.